or wave if I'm coming through loud and clear.
Sound good, Brent.
Sounding good. All right. I heard somebody say we're sounding good. So for the most part, I've got the camera here, but for the most, this is really something that you're going to want to look at your screen. For the most part, I'm going to share my screen so you'll be able to follow along for part of the material. For sale by owner, try and give something of that to somebody that's never talked with a for sale by owner. And hopefully, even if you're really experienced working with for sale by is worth it for anybody, no matter where you're at in your process of working with FSBOs. So, for the most part, let's talk about why would any real estate agent want to pay any attention. And this is going to be interactive. You're going to, hopefully you guys can see the chat window where you can put some answers in there. I'd like it to be interactive. I'm going to ask a question and hopefully people have some ideas. So for the most part, right now we're suffering from a lack of inventory. If you're working with buyers, you're going to be losing a lot of deals. You're going to be writing a lot of contracts. And hopefully you can turn a buyer into a paycheck. But right now, if you can have a listing, it's a great opportunity because most listings right now, we're not seeing a lot of expireds and we're not seeing a lot of, as long as you take a good listing and you take it properly priced, you should be able to get a paycheck out of it and still be able to work some buyers without, if you haven't heard it, it's a list to last and it gives you that time freedom. So for sale by owners, why would you go after for sale by owners instead of any other type of listing? Sellers are all a paycheck if you do it right. Why after FSBOs? Well, for the most part, it's the easiest way to find a seller. They're raising their hand saying, I want to sell. And if you get an opportunity to work with a for sale by owner, they're already telling you they're interested in selling their house. If you try and work with buyers, for the most part, most of those leads you're going to pay for. Seller leads, I'll show you a way to get seller leads for no charge and turn around, make a paycheck off of them. And ultimately, hopefully you can also pick up some buyers when you have a listing. So when you have buyers in your car, you don't necessarily pick up a listing from it. There's exceptions to that rule, but usually when you have a listing, you have an opportunity to pick up buyers from it. So, so think about that one. If you have the choice between a listing or a buyer, you have more opportunity to get a secondary transaction if you have a listing. So it gives you a great opportunity to market yourself, market your home, and get sign calls, hold open houses, things like that, and pick up another client. So, so how would you get started working for sale by owners? And so anybody throw out ideas. How would anybody, if you said today, I want to go out there and I want to talk to my first for sale by owner, throw some ideas in the chat. How would you find a for sale by owner to work with? And hopefully everybody's able to hear me still okay. And I'm watching the chat down here, see if anybody can throw in. All right. So David says Zillow and then door knock. Kelly says maybe find the real bad pics on Zillow. Perfect. Sign calls, Brandon says. Excellent. So two people mentioned Zillow. Newspapers, there's another one. So we have two people mentioned Zillow, and that is the basis. That's where consumers are. And for the most part, you have to kind of think like a consumer. Rita says Craigslist. That's another good answer. Consumers, if you have to put yourself in their position and say, okay, if you were moving to a new city that you weren't familiar with, how are you going to research real estate in a new city? And most of us would either go to Zillow, Realtor.com, might find a local agent's website. We know that those are the better websites out there, but what agent are you looking for? You don't necessarily know. So we usually start with the national ones, even though they don't have the most data. That would be Zillow and Realtor.com. And the consumers predominantly are off at Zillow. So getting started in the process, Zillow is going to be central to that. And not only for us, but it's actually very central for some of these companies that produce a list of for sale by owners. So let's put, I'm going to share my screen here. This is where you guys get to see. Let's look at Oregon. We don't have anybody in Oregon, but for the most part, I think you can share my screen now. So this is the home page of Zillow. Let's start at the very beginning.
We're just focused on Portland right now. Maybe a lot of people trying to move from that area these days.
So if you go to the homepage of Zillow and upper left-hand corner, tap on buy, you're going to see for sale by owner is a category that they offer. And those are homes that didn't come to the Zillow feed through the MLS. They came by somebody placing an ad directly on Zillow. Most of them are not real estate agents. They shouldn't be, but there's still ways for real estate agents to get on there. They just have to say they're selling by owner. We want to work with that data, and this is a way for you to get set up to be notified of for sale by owners the day that they list. And for the most part, I would say choose a neighborhood that you're very familiar with. So let's pretend, let's just go to Charlotte, since we happen to be in Charlotte and I happen to know the neighborhoods in Charlotte. So let's take 28211. Let's take a zip code, and we're going to say for sale by owner in this zip code. It's going to outline the zip code. And we usually have to go back in here, and you're going to have to set up the parameters so that you don't have all these things checked. Zillow, again, wants to sell homes. They want to be the source of information. They're tricky. They want to give you as much data as possible, but also turn you into a lead. So once you turn off all those check boxes and hit done, that'll tell you there's no for sale by owners unless I have more criteria on here, which I might. Let's see. Reset it. Oh. Okay, so when you set this up, you're going to do this one time. Okay, so let's remove the boundary and let's find ourselves a for sale by owner. There we go. So let's take this house right here. This made it on the list because they've listed for sale by owner. You click on this, and that's going to give you the details. At this point, you're not wanting to do that. You don't want to go so far as to actually look at any one listing. You're going to save a search. And by saving a search, Zillow will tell you when somebody lists for sale by owner. They're going to send you a little email, and it's pretty handy. This is how most of the real estate websites that send you the newsletter of for sale by owners, this is how they're getting their information. And most of them want to charge you for it. They charge you quite a bit. You can join some of these services. There's the Red X, there's Vulcan 7, FSBO listings. You know, there's all sorts of services that will go out there and get this data for you and send it to your email inbox. And I've had those before. The first thing you're going to do when you open that email every morning is you're going to say, I wonder what this house is worth. How far off are they from what they should be listed at? And you're going to immediately pull up Zillow. So I've stopped subscribing to those newsletters because I realized it was way better to just work right off of Zillow. So my normal setup is to have two monitors sitting in front of me, or a big monitor, however you work, but get a headset, sit in front of your monitor, and just set up a search and use this. So let's pick a South Charlotte area. You can use this draw tool, and it will set up a custom search and hit apply. And these are all the for sale by owners in this area. And you're going to get an email as long as you do a save search. So this little button here, save search, that will send you, you can either choose immediately or daily, a for sale by owner list every single time somebody lists, or every single day that there's listings. You want to be pretty broad, but you also don't need it to be someplace you wouldn't go take a listing. You can also set your criteria. So you could say on the price level, I don't want anything under 100,000. You can also say under home type that you don't want land. If you don't want to take any land listings, or you certainly don't want apartments. But for the most part, you might leave all these things checked, and you might just say, look, I'm only looking for single family homes and townhouses and condos. That's a pretty good basis for most real estate agents that want to work residential. Okay. So if you sort this list, now you've saved a search, you want it to be emailed to you daily or immediately. I would recommend immediately if you have a small, let's say you've just picked your neighborhood and you live in a community called Millbridge, and you want to know anytime anybody in Millbridge lists for sale by owner. Okay, so set one search that's really small right around Millbridge, and then have that set up to immediately tell you. So you can reach out to your neighbor. But if you want to say all of South Charlotte, you might set that one up for every day. And then in the morning, when you get that email, you're going to go through this and you're going to say, okay, I want the newest listings that came in, and you pull up that saved search and you go, okay, 2 hours ago, you can see this on my screen, 2 hours ago, somebody on Roswell Avenue listed for sale by owner for $298.75 or $750. What does that mean to me? How does that make me money if they've listed for sale by owner? And that's what the system is that you need to learn. What do we know about them? They want to sell a house. What else do we know about them? We also know that they want to save the commission. That's why they're trying to do it. They can do simple math. My house, if I sell it for $300,000 times 6%, it's going to cost me $18,000 if I call a real estate agent, and they're no fun to deal with anyhow, right? So that's what they know. But what do they not know? They're not real estate agents. They don't know what it really takes to sell a house. So I'll give you a little backstory about myself. I got into real estate in 2001 because I lost my job and needed to sell my house. I thought, okay, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford this house, and how am I going to get the equity out of it while I look for a new job? And I put two and two together and said, you know what, the amount of money I'm going to pay a real estate agent is it's cheaper to just go get a real estate license. Might as well do it. So I got a real estate license to sell my own house. Didn't end up selling my own house. I made good money in real estate, so I didn't have to sell my house. So I understand the mindset of a for sale by owner, and that's what they're doing. They're doing basic math. They're saying 6% times 300,000, that's $18,000 is going to cost me. Why would I want to pay that? Some of them go for sale by owner, and others go to real estate school. So these people happen to be raising their hand saying, I'm trying to sell the house by myself. So I pull it up, and I understand this person because they're cheap. They want to save money, but they need to sell, possibly need to sell. They're at least willing to raise their hand for the public to see, put their phone number out there, and hopefully find a buyer. Now, in the market that we're currently in, there are a lot of people that don't necessarily need to sell, but think this is such a hot market. Why not? If I could sell it for $300,000 when it's really worth $150,000, who wouldn't take that kind of money, right? So you need to. The first thing you really want to know is whether or not you want to talk to this person. So let's look at this listing and analyze this Zillow listing that came on 2 hours ago. And normally, if the owner doesn't choose to hide it, there is going to be a Zestimate right there. But this person checked the little box. I own this house. I put my ad up and it asks them, do I want to show my Zestimate or hide my Zestimate? They've chosen to hide it. It's not really that hard to hide it. It's not really that hard to find it. You just click on it and it's going to run you down to the bottom, and it's going to tell you that, okay, this house, Zillow thinks, in all their wisdom, is worth $200,000. So we know that this person has seen that value when they placed their ad. They didn't get here accidentally. They had to go create an ad. They saw that Zillow says it's worth $200,000 and they chose $298,000. What does that tell us about this person? Maybe not terribly motivated. Maybe they've heard from a friend or a neighbor that inventory is low, things are selling overpriced, all that stuff. You have to kind of get into the mindset and understand, what does the data mean to us, that they chose almost $300,000 when their house is really worth $200,000. Maybe they don't understand that really it's not whether somebody's willing to pay for that price, that it's going to sell for that price. They have to also be able to get a mortgage, and banks aren't notorious for overpricing or overpaying for listings and for homes. They usually run an appraisal. 90% of the time, if there's a loan, they're going to go out there and they get an appraisal, and it's going to come back at what the value is, not an arbitrary figure. So this person may not be terribly motivated. They may not have an understanding of how the process really works. But I've not seen the house. I can't tell them that it's not going to sell for $300,000. Zillow has been known to be wrong, but also at this point, I'm going to trust Zillow more than I'm going to trust the owner until I get some more data. Okay. So let me flip back over here and see if we've got any questions. I'm going to pull back up Zoom. Let's see if I can see the chat. Any questions in here? All right. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll check back over occasionally. But for the most part, like I said, this is really about sharing my screen so you understand where to get this data for free, because you don't need to pay for this data. They're getting it for free and turning around and selling it to you. Okay. So this person, you're going now let's talk about this person. This listing that came on 2 hours ago that we think is overpriced by about $100,000. It's, they've got nice pictures. I would venture a guess that this is either A, it's been listed by a professional real estate agent and they just stole the photos, or B, they are a real estate agent that doesn't put their listings out there on the MLS. And so therefore, this is how they get their listings out there. So let's look at the little price and text history here. So they probably took the old photos, it looks like, from our MLS. That's what I'm guessing. This is also their history. So you got a lot of data inside of Zillow. It was sold for $80,000, possibly. Might have also sold for $120,000. Not 100% certain. We can get more data by pulling up the MLS. That's why I work on two screens usually, is I've got the MLS over here and I've got Zillow open over here. And I just punch in this address and I want to know the history of this property according to our MLS. It's also a great way to get into the tax history, which gives me tons more data than Zillow. Zillow's pulling a little bit of data from our MLS and a little bit of data from our tax records, but it's not the most data. And so I have access to all this other information, but we now can see professional photos. Somebody paid for photos, and that, I'll tell you, is not a for sale by owner. That's not the first thing they do, is go out and hire a professional photographer. I've been wrong. There've been for sale by owners that happen to be photographers, and they think enough to take good pictures. And, but that's the conversation I'm going to have. Oh, where'd you get your photos? Who'd you get your photos from? So so before we make that phone call, we have to figure out where to get the phone number on this thing, right? How many have ever, now don't answer this one. I don't want honesty. I want you to lie to me, because I hope that you've never done this, but I know, because I'm on the receiving end of Zillow calls, I can tell you from experience that real estate agents go to Zillow on their phone time and time again, and they think that they can contact the owner just by saying contact agent right there, okay? And don't answer, I'll tell you what happens. It contacts a real estate agent. It does not contact the owner, okay? Zillow will let the owner put their ad on there for free, but Zillow does not turn that ad into leads for the owner. Zillow will take the data that the for sale by owner created and use it to generate leads for real estate agents to pay for those leads, okay? So you have to look hard to find the phone number, and it's down near the bottom. There it is, listing provided by owner. This is the phone number for the for the owner or whoever classified themselves as the owner. Don't click on contact agent. Don't click on contact me, any of that stuff. You want to look for this number in the ad. And I'll tell you, if you're doing this on a tablet or on your cell phone, it does not come across as a clickable link. Again, most links that are phone numbers on your phone, you tap on it and it dials the number. Zillow does not want to make it easy for you to call the owner. They put it out there, but the links that are clickable, the get more info box, this big giant link here, does not reach the owner. The send an email to contact somebody does not reach the owner. The only way on a cell phone or a tablet to reach the owner is to copy and paste into your phone. That's not intuitive. So, and owners don't realize this. They think that Zillow is going to help them sell their house. And then they get frustrated when all they do is get 200 phone calls from real estate agents. Okay. How's our time? We're 20 minutes in. Good. We're almost to the part where we're going to talk to these people, but we haven't gotten there yet. We had to get the phone number. And now we need to know a little bit about them, a little bit about the history. We don't want to sound like an idiot and just call them and say, hey, you're selling. The thing I would advise you not to do is call off a script. There are tons of companies that will sell you a script. Scripts are valuable. They're valuable for you to understand what information they ask for. So somebody's put together a script, but the last thing you want to do is be reading it to the for sale by owner, because they're literally going to get 200 calls in the first week. And those 200 calls, half of them are going to be using the same script. So take and search Google for a for sale by owner script. Get your hands on them. They're in realtor.com. They're, Mike Ferry produces one. Tom Ferry produces one. There's 100 of them out there online. For the most part, if you read one, analyze it and say, okay, they ask this question in the script. Why? What are they trying to get at? And I'll tell you, most of them are looking for motivation. Whether they tell you they got a brother that's a real estate agent, that's a different way to go. If they're not motivated, well, most of them are. They're willing to put their phone number out there on the web, but most of them, you have to figure out what their motivation is, because that's a key factor as to how long it's going to take them to turn around and list. Okay. So statistics show that somebody that's gone this far to list their house for sale by owner, 85% of them are going to list with a real estate agent before they get it sold. That means 15% will successfully sell it on their own. And if you watch the ones that tell you they've got it pending, if you watch, you'll see that they probably don't make as much money as they would have if they would have hired an agent and listed with an agent. And why is that? So why would a for sale by owner make less money than if they hired a real estate agent? It goes back to how big of a market does my listing go to. It goes to everybody in the MLS. It goes to everybody on Realtor.com, everybody on Zillow. And those are the most motivated buyers. You know, the for sale by owner, when they put their ad, they're reaching the bargain hunter buyer. They're reaching the people that aren't working with a real estate agent or are willing to cut their agent out of the commission. So it's like Mr. Cheap and Mr. Cheap getting together and trying to make a deal happen. And this guy wants to save the commission, and this guy is willing to go look and do all the shopping on his own without a real estate agent, run the risk that it doesn't get done right because he wants to save the commission. So can they both save that 6%? No. And most of the time, the for sale by owner chooses to save the commission, but the buyer ends up being the one that saves the commission. So, and once they understand that they're not reaching the buyers that are in the car with the real estate agent with a pre-approval letter in hand that need to write an offer this weekend by putting their house for sale by owner, they're not reaching that base of clients that your listing and my listing. When we go into the MLS and we get real estate agents that are willing to work with these clients, showing our listings because we market it correctly, price it correctly, that's the big difference. So, you know, and you don't need to explain that to for sale by owners the very first time you talk to them, but have an understanding of that. Have an understanding that they're looking for your services. They just don't want to pay 6% because they haven't seen the value of the 6%. Okay. So let's talk about, we've got this for sale by owner here. We've got his phone number. I will tell you, the sooner you get in touch with this person, the better off you are to have a good conversation with them. The second day, third day, fourth day, first weekend, that's when they've had hundreds of calls from real estate agents, all speaking from a script. You'll get hung up on, they won't answer the phone. So you got to get a little creative. If you're 3 or 4 days later, get creative. Text them, send them a video of yourself, send them a link to another one of your listings. So here's the steps that I've found are the steps to successfully listing for sale by owners. So I told you I got into real estate to sell my own house, got my real estate license. And one of the first things I did was I took a company generated lead, worked with a buyer. But the second thing I did was I didn't have any friends or family in the town that I got my real estate license in. I was in Las Vegas. And so I heard that, for sale by owners is a good way to get listings. And so I started working for sale by owners. And my very first listing that I took was a for sale by owner, and it sold. And I was like, oh my word, this is amazing. You know, I just worked a buyer, my first deal. And then my second deal was a listing, and it sold. And I made almost the same amount of money. I was like, I actually made a lot more on the listing side than the buyer side because it was a company generated lead, but the paychecks were almost the same before I got my split. And so that's the key, is to figure out how to get the listings, how to make the paycheck, and also understand the mindset that they're in right now is they may want to sell, they may not want to sell. So let's go back to the scripts. You want to figure out whether they're motivated. So when you have a phone call with them, you're going to be asking them questions, but for the most part, understand that they don't know what they're doing. They're not real estate licensees. They are entering our business for the purpose of selling one home. If a buyer calls them and says, you know, how many bedrooms? Well, this guy, he's got 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, 1,000 square feet. And if his advertising yields a buyer that says, I need an office as well, is it 2 bedrooms and an office? Nope, it's just 2 bedrooms. This guy can't add another office. He can't add another bedroom. So for the most part, he doesn't need that person. So for the most part, you can partner with a for sale by owner while they're trying on their own and say, look, I can help you through this process and help you. I've got tools, and I have more houses to sell than just one single 2 bedroom, 2 bath. So befriend them. understand that they're either going to get frustrated or they're going to get lucky, one or the other. And so you can help them through the process. No skin off your teeth. If they sell, great. But they're also getting these phone calls and they're getting these leads for people that might not be the right fit for this house. And if you do it right, there's ways to share that information where they give you those leads and you give them help. So what kind of help does a for sale by owner need? They don't know it, but they need a lender, right? They're going to get buyers calling them that may not be pre-approved. If they were pre-approved, they're probably working with a real estate agent. They're going to need to know an attorney. We close with attorneys here in the Carolinas. You work with attorneys, give them that information. Say, look, I've got a great attorney. Candace Shepard, give her a call when you get a buyer, and always use that language. When you get a buyer, great. I'll be very happy with you. But the first thing you're going to need is to put your contract with an attorney so you can get this process to close, right? You're also going to need a lender. I've got a great one. I work with Ray Shanahan. You should use Ray Shanahan. And these are the conversations I'm having with these for sale by owners. And I always text them. So I have the conversation. So let's talk about working with these. I've got my 2 screens. I've got my MLS over here. I've got my Zillow over here. I've got a headset on and I use my cell phone. And I sit there and I have conversations with these people that are, number one, I know they want to save money. Number 2, they're raising their hand saying they want to sell their house. Now my job is to figure out why. What makes them think this is the time to sell? Do you have a job transfer? That's a great level of motivation. They got a kid on the way and they're living in a 2-bedroom and they already got 2 kids and mom and dad. And, there's circumstances that cause people to move. It's not the funnest thing in the world to move. Certainly the process of selling and buying aren't the funnest things in the world, right? It's stressful. And so we want to figure out what caused this person to raise their hand to the world saying, I want to move and I will let you buy my house for $298,750. And what is that motivation? So you're just going to have a conversation with them. Again, if you were to look at the scripts for sale by owners, that's what those scripts deal with. Motivation. How did you come up with the price? What happens if it doesn't sell? If they say, I'm just going to stay, that goes back to motivation. They're not terribly motivated. If they don't sell and they're just going to stay, you might want to not put as much time and energy behind somebody that says, my favorite for sale by owner, answer to what caused you to put your house on the market is, well, my neighbor just listed. He listed and he's got, his house was listed at $325,000. So I figured I'd throw mine on at $300,000. And they do that all the time. It's not uncommon to hear that answer. So then you go into the MLS and their neighbor's house is 2 times as big and has a pool in the backyard. But yeah, you're right. It was listed at $325,000 and you listed at $300,000, but that doesn't make your house worth $300,000. So don't argue with them. That's not the time. On the phone is not the time to sit there and convince them that they don't know what they're doing. They already know it. For the most part, your goal on the phone is to establish a little bit of rapport and then text them, get an appointment and get your information in front of them. So the conversations go something like this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I see your house is listed on for sale by owner. That's great. During this process, sometimes you're going to have some questions. I want you to know I'm here for you. I don't consider you competition. I know that you're just trying to get your house sold. That's how I got in this business, is I wanted to sell my house. And I wanted to save that commission. So let me send over some information for you that you might find helpful. And then you're going to ask them, look, do you have a good lender? Or where you're moving to is in there, but you don't want to have the first question, but you want to understand what motivates them and how they came to this place to list their house on their own. So some of them, their neighbor listed. Some of them have an actual job transfer and they need to sell. Those are the ones you put a star next to their name, and you're going to call them every day until they list. I mean, you're going to just check in with them 2 or 3 days, maybe at the most. But if they're really motivated, they need to sell, they've got a job transfer, they've already got another house under contract that they're hoping they can buy. If they get their house sold, they can buy it. You know, those things say this person will list, or they'll decide to not list, one or the other, if something happens. So, all right, so back here to my screen. You can see my screen still. This house, the very first day when I have a conversation with them, if I want to work with this one and I like this, use Zillow. Hopefully you've got a created account already with Zillow. And when you save it, Zillow's now going to email you if they hold an open house. They're going to email you if they do a price reduction. They're going to email you if they do a price increase. If they, you know, there's a few little things if they list again with somebody else. So for the most part, save these properties, and then that will send you an email when they update their price. So 2 major things that for sale by owners do that tell me that they're motivated or they're going to list. Price reductions tell me they're about to list, and they're motivated, and they, you know, if they don't ever do a price reduction or they don't ever do an open house, they're not really serious. Although they, you know, take that back. Sometimes they're serious and they just end up listing. The more serious ones that are just trying to find a real estate agent, I'll show you what one of those looks like. They don't have any professional photos, and they just, so let's find another for sale by owner here. So here we've got another 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1134 square feet, for sale by owner. On this screen, do you know how to tell how long they've been trying? You know, we didn't pull it off the list on the right-hand side of my screen. So if you go down here to the history, it'll tell you how many days it's been on the market. So listed for sale 8/29/20 for 162. Now, how much is their estimate? That's 276. So this is a perfect opportunity to have a conversation with them. Zillow says your house is worth $276,000. I'm going to guess Zillow's wrong, but it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with them about how did you come up with the price of 162. And I would probably look in the MLS on this one, see if they've been listed already, what they bought it for, things like that. But Zillow's probably wrong. Most for sale by owners, they do it to save money and make more money. They don't do it to lose $110,000. And we know, because they're on Zillow, that they've already seen this screen. So they somehow justified in their mind that they're not worth 276. I could be wrong. They could be just really naive as to the market that they're in and really motivated, but most of them are not. Okay. So if you see somebody listed $100,000 overpriced, you're going to make sure that you are dealing with somebody motivated. If you see somebody that's within $10,000 of that estimate, that tells you that that's a very motivated person. They're priced right. But this situation, the conversation could just go, why is Zillow wrong? How did you come up with the price? Did a real estate agent help you? And that's when they'll usually break down, you know, oh, it needs to be gutted, or, you know, in this case, my guess is Zillow's just factoring in some other properties that aren't correct. But you don't need to do a full CMA until you have an appointment. But you want to have a little bit of information, a little bit of knowledge of the property before you end up, you know, making that phone call. If it just expired and then they decided to list for sale by owner, that's a good thing to know. So again, you look in that history and it'll tell you, okay, it was in the MLS. This one hasn't been. This hasn't been since 2019. but it's gone up since 2019, and it's probably gone up more than $12,000. So I might have a conversation with them. Look, how did you come up with your price? And they'll probably tell you, oh, I think that's what it's worth, or so that's what you need to do, is have a conversation. Don't beat them up. Don't tell them that they're never going to sell. Don't, encourage them. Be their biggest cheerleader. It isn't going to make a difference in whether they sell or not. You can't make a for sale by owner sell, and you can't make a for sale by owner list. All you can do is be the positive person that is there to help them while they're trying. And when they get frustrated, maybe they turn to you for some information. You can provide them with disclosures. You can provide them with your lender. You can provide them with an attorney. And I've actually told for sale by owners, look, your pictures don't look the best. They're not the best representation of your house. Here's my professional photographer. Call them. You need to get professional photos taken. And if you decide to list with me, guess what? I'll just buy the photos from you instead. I won't have, because I already know you used my guy. So that's the biggest thing that I would say. Your conversations revolve around motivation, how they came up with the price, and then ask them, how long do you plan on trying it on your own? Some people will say a month. Some people will say, I'll never list. Save those people. They're going to probably list. If they're motivated, they're probably going to list. And then call them in a week. They'll probably give you a different answer. In this market, we all know listings that are well priced and clean, move-in ready, they probably sell in a weekend. But for sale by owners aren't having that kind of success. And so 2 weeks from now, when the listing that was next door ends up selling, they wonder why their house didn't, and they don't understand that they did not reach the same market. They didn't reach the same group of motivated buyers that are driving around with the real estate agent with a pre-approval letter in hand. And so that's what you want to help them understand. So let's see. Let me open it up for questions in the chat. Any questions?
I got you too.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so are you looking to set an appointment on the first phone call? Not necessarily are you looking to set an appointment on the first phone call. You should listen for them to say when they're ready. You can always drop by. There's different things you could drop by. You could drop by, disclosures. You could drop by signs if you happen to have signs for an open house, if you have the generic ones. So I have never done for sale by owner open houses because I want to advertise my own listings and not necessarily advertise for sale by owners. So some people say that that's a good way to do it, but I prefer to list or advertise my own listings. That's the other key, is make sure when you take a listing, you put good money into marketing it, and then use that listing to turn around and get more listings. So show your professional photos, show that you have great marketing. So let's see, let me, all right, I'm going to stop the screen share.
We can be verbal in here.
Yep.
You said, what was it, 84, 85%?
85%, yeah, will list, yeah.
Was it a 90-day period, or is it a particular time frame?
So right now, one of the problems I'm seeing with for sale by owners is the lack of inventory that we have in the MLS is actually to their advantage if they price it right. And they happen to get it out there, we're suffering from a lack of inventory. Buyers are saying, man, my real estate agent can't show me a house this weekend. And then they go looking on their own and they find for sale by owners. So I would say right now, for sale by owners are having an advantage. That'll change. But it's still a matter of, 30 days. The window around the summer is an incredibly good time to sell a house. So right now, nearing the end of the summer, we see people that are, they might throw a house on the market for sale by owner, and within a week, they realize the end of the peak selling season is coming up, so they just turn around and list. But I would say during the winter, people that list their house for sale by owner during the winter probably stay on the market for sale by owner for maybe a couple of months. Now, depends on our level of inventory. That kind of affects theirs. So, okay. So, let's see. So question here, Brent Young says, what's the percentage of FSBOs that you befriend that turn into clients? That I befriend? Well, befriend is build rapport with, you kind of, you go out there and you are friendly with them for the sake of getting a transaction. I mean, they understand I'm in sales. They're not there to, I'm not going to invite them over for Thanksgiving. But that's the thing is more than likely, they don't know somebody that's really experienced in the business. And if you can show them how you've got the marketing, you've got the tools. So I happen to believe that every time I have a phone conversation with a for sale by owner, I follow it up with a text message. Okay. So I work on my phone. I've got a headset. I plug in my headset and I'm sitting there on the phone conversation. And at the end, I wrap it with, let me send you. And I mean, let me text you when I get off the phone. I text my digital business card, number one. Number two, I use short codes all the time. So let me send you my Zillow profile, okay? First conversation normally goes to my Zillow profile. So they know I'm a legit real estate agent and I'm doing business. And I want them to see my other listings. I want them to see my other sales. And I usually send them a property that I either just listed, just sold, somewhere in their price point. So if they've got a brand new house, they've lived in it 2 years, and it's $500,000, I'm not going to send them a listing that I took that I sold that was a 1980s house that sold for $200,000. Sorry. I want to find a similar property. So that's where it comes back to, having marketing that's impressive. You don't want to ever shortcut your marketing on a listing. And that's why I think a lot of people don't like to go get listings is they go, okay, I got to put money into this thing up front to get good pictures, but you'll get that back when you get it to close. So let's talk about some mistakes real quick. Oh, let me get back into the questions real quick. Are you, okay, awful pick, Kelly says, yep. They can negotiate as well as an agent can't. Kelly, okay. Okay, so for the most part, the disadvantage for you to take a listing is if you take one that's not motivated or you take one that's overpriced and you haven't had a conversation with them that, look, have that whole conversation with them. Look, you can list your house for $300,000 and I may be able to get you an offer at $300,000, but that buyer is going to go get a mortgage and the bank is not going to let them borrow $300,000 on a $200,000 house. So why should we work so hard to sell your house for $300,000 when the bank is going to determine the sale price? The buyer's bank, I don't get to decide who appraises it. The buyer is going to go get a mortgage and that mortgage company is going to get an appraisal. Here's the data that appraiser is going to look at. Let's look in the MLS. But that's a conversation to have with them after you've built a little bit of rapport, get in front of them, show them that, look, you're here to support them. There's things that I can help you with through this process while you try it on your own that don't necessarily have to cost me money. And I'm not saying don't spend any money. I used to go and deliver 12 moving boxes because they're saying they're trying to sell their house. What do they need? So go to Lowe's. They're $1.50 a piece. You pick up 12 moving boxes and you strap them together and grab a roll of tape and you drop them off at their front porch. And make sure your card's in there and they know they came from you. But it's a cheap way to stand out from all the other people. If you can get in front of them in general, you'll look different than the 200 agents that are going to call them. You can text them a video. You can text them your lender's information, your photographer's information. You can text them an attorney. You can text them a home warranty company. But I usually follow up every single phone call with a text at the end of the conversation so that they see something visual from me. So the next day when the buyer calls and says, you know what, I don't know, will you do owner financing? Some buyers think, you know, I can't go get a mortgage. Will you carry the note on the property? That's when it's handy for them to say, no, but I got a lender. Call them up and let's see if they can get you a mortgage, okay? And so they'll pull back up my text message and they'll send them over to my lender and say, look, here's a lender that might be able to get you financed. So moving box deal, yep. So you can deliver some moving boxes. You can deliver one and, you know, put your name all over the side of it and say there's 12 more when you list with me, or call me. I'll deliver 12 moving boxes when you list. The other one is open house signs. If you get the open house signs that don't say realtor, that don't say your name, if you have generic open house signs, they can use those. The other thing you can do is there's different items of value you can drop by. I happen to have a service that allows them to use my phone number versus their own. So they put out their phone number, they're going to probably answer their phone or wish they didn't give their personal phone out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So especially somebody that's a $600,000 house, you know, why are you putting your personal cell phone number out there? Well, they want to save 600,000 times 6%. And so they go and do what I would say they probably regret later, which is give their cell phone number out. And that cell phone number gets on every real estate agent's email list in the next couple days. So I have a way for them to contact, put a cell phone number on there that's just kind of a disposable. I would recommend they either use like a Google Voice or use some sort of service so they're not putting their personal cell phone number out there, especially the more expensive homes, because those aren't going to list right away. They're not going to sell right away. And if you're living in $1 million house, you got better things to do than to take 200 phone calls from real estate agents, you know, just because you want to save 200,000 times 6%. So there's, let's see, some other ideas. Some people drop by, you know, a Starbucks card. Some people mail out something that says, you know, the address and you know the cell phone. You don't necessarily know the email address. Sometimes they'll part with their email address when you talk to them. And that's another good excuse to say, look, let me email you some information and then they'll give you the email address. You can create inside a KV Core, you can create a whole drip campaign that emails them and texts them. Don't be too aggressive with that, just because when it starts to sound like an automated thing, you're not top of mind, you're annoying. So, but picking up the phone and having quick little conversations with them, saying, look, anything I can help with today? How did your weekend open house go with? I see you did a price reduction. Can I ask what made you think that that was a better solution than exposing it to a larger market? You know, if the only thing you can change, you know, let's go back to the things that make a house sell: location, condition, price, and the market that it's exposed to. Well, if you can't change the location and you can't change the condition of the house, and you're not willing to change it, the market that you're exposing it to, well, the only thing left is to change the price, and eventually you'll drop it low enough that it'll sell. So let's deal with those two things and say, maybe not do another price reduction. I think you might be priced right. I haven't seen your house yet, but let me come see it and tell you if you're priced right. And then let's expose it to the larger market so that you don't just have to keep throwing essentially my commission at getting this thing to sell. So I will tell you, we're wrapping it up here. We got 6 minutes. And I want to have some time for questions. But when you have a conversation with them, most for sale by owners understand that the key to success, they've all read the same playbook. The key to success is to include buyer's agents. You'll see in a lot of their ads that they will pay a buyer's agent 3%, 2.5%, 2% to bring buyers. So they understand the value for the buyer's side, even though that's the person that's going to work against them. You now need to show the value for your side. And you do that through showing your success in real estate, your success in getting homes sold, and how you can get them sold for more money by exposing it to a larger market. And also, you're going to get all the paperwork correct. You're going to bring a whole team of people, a lender, home inspection, the vendors of a home warranty company, the professional photography, all those things. And when repair requests come in, how many know that's not a slam dunk deal? You know, the buyer goes and gets a home inspection and wants you to buy a whole new roof. When the reality is I can help you by just getting the roof repaired, or, oh, need a whole new HVAC. And so sellers go, I don't know, I already started moving out. What do I do now? Well, that's when it's valuable to have a real estate agent that knows the market and it knows what they're doing, to turn around and say, look, we're not just throwing a brand new AC at this thing. It's working. It's, you know, we've got an inspection, you know, needed some Freon or whatever. And we got a home warranty for you. So, you know, it's fine. All right, so let me get into questions here. If anybody's got any questions, we got 4 minutes. Throw as many questions in here as you can. And I got one here in the room. Brandon says.
So they ask you, when you call them, they say, what would you give me as a price? What is my price? What do you do? So
whenever a for sale by owner asks you the price, the answer is, I don't. So two different things. What's the price of the house? And what's your price on selling my house? Those are the two. So I'm assuming that you're saying the for sale by owner wants to know, am I priced right? Should I be at 300,000 on this house? I don't know. I need to see your house, because I can't tell you what I would price it at until I've been inside your house. And so can I come on over? I'll be more than happy to share that information with you. And I'll bring my laptop and I'll show you what your competition is. So for sale by owners, yes, they want to know if they're priced right. They're not confident on their price. The next question you're going to get is, how much do you charge? They all want to know. They're cheap. That's why they're trying to for sale by owner. And they want to go, oh, are you 6%? I don't know what the job is that I need to do. If your home looks like a model home and you want to list it for $10,000 underpriced, I'd be crazy to say, yeah, I have to charge you 6%. No. Now, if you want me to get you top dollar and you want me to hold the key and show everybody, you know, so there's a lot of things that go into a listing. And if you want to price it $50,000 overpriced and you tell me they can only have showings on the third Tuesday of every other month, and I have to be there for it, and by the way, you have to have an offer before they can see it. I mean, clients do these types of things. So you don't know the price that you're going to charge them. We all like to, you know, think that we have an idea, but if you're really honest, you'd be crazy to turn down a commission if it's going to sell in one weekend in this marketplace. And we're seeing a lot of homes are selling with 2.5% co-ops. So you don't necessarily need to start at 6% in this market. Don't shortcut the marketing. Those photos are valuable even after this listing sells. So definitely know a good photographer and use them, because that marketing of their house sticks around even after the fact, because I can use it. So, all right. So back here to the question. Sorry, I'm sidetracked. Time is up. 12:58. I think we're done. We've got another event, Cabarrus Country Club. Brandon says in the chat, and recording it. Great ideas. All right, so we're going to take a little break, I think, and then we're going to take.
David's going to go.
There you go. I'm going to get off, and David's going to take over, and. With that, feel free to call me if anybody has any questions. I'll throw my phone number. Yeah. Call me if you have questions.
Brent, thank you very much. That was awesome. Very good, sir. You guys able to see my screen now? I'm going to try one more time. You guys able to see my screen now? Anybody there?
Yes, yes,
I
I can see it.
think everybody's on mute. I'm trying to find the chat box. I'm moving my stuff around and can't find it, but that's okay. I don't need it. So, once again, Brent, thank you. Brent Young with the Brent Young team, one of the first agents to join Call It Closed in the Charlotte area. I'll never forget, I was driving back from meeting with some realtors down in the Atlanta area, coming through the middle of South Carolina, and my phone rang, and it was Brent saying, "Did I see that you left eXp Realty? Why would you do that?" And we started talking, and it was just a couple short weeks that Brent decided to take the plunge and come over, and I'm glad he did, and there's no looking back. So I am David Doty. I am the managing broker, or as you might say, broker in charge for North Carolina and South Carolina right now, and just grateful to be here. I started my real estate career flipping houses after leaving corporate America in 2012, and back then you could just buy a foreclosure and paint it and make money, and so I was doing that until the market kind of dried up, and in 2015 went ahead and got licensed in North Carolina, and it was because the realtors I had been using to buy houses were getting so busy they didn't have time to return my phone calls or show me houses. And I thought, wow, if I get my license and I just answer the phone, I ought to do fairly well. And by God's grace, I've done fairly well. Spent a few years with Remax and got to the point that with my little fledgling team, paying them $1,120 a month plus a commission split just to be there and pay for an office that we never used. It just didn't make sense anymore. And so when eXp came along, I loved the idea of the virtual brokerage, and I thought that just seems like it's the way of the future, and I'm jumping on that ship. And then last year, as my business was changing again, I was starting to refer out more business than I was actually selling myself, and was really focused on being at home and working from home and spending time with my family. And so I was referring out all of my buyer clients. It just got to this point that it doesn't make sense for me to be giving up 20% of my commission plus all of these other fees when I wasn't really getting anything in return for all of those dollars. And I started just to start my own firm. My friend Cody Powell and I were going to just start our own firm just so we could keep 100% of our own commissions. And it was during the process of starting that firm that we ran across Call It Closed International Realty, was introduced with our CEO, and there was no turning back because I thought, well, Chad's already done the hard work of starting a firm, and it's much better than what I would have done if I had set out to do it myself, and I still get 100% of my commission. So let's just get into it. This slideshow is available at joincallitclosed.com. If you scroll down, if you'd like to go back and look at it later. But as you all know, things are changing. Giant retailers are hurting. Stores like Sears and Macy's and Toys R Us are closing, and things are switching to online. As you can see, and it's not going to be a surprise to any of you, that the net sales of and revenue of Amazon are just going through the roof. And so people are still spending their money, but they're doing it in a different way. And the same thing is happening to the real estate industry, where companies like Remax and Keller Williams with their high office expenses are beginning to lose market share to more virtual companies like eXp and now Call It Closed. Of course, Zillow has tripled in just the last few years and will continue to do so as far as we can tell. And many of you may not have heard before that 97% of all home buyers are starting their search online, but they're being contacted by 22 different realtors before they actually meet one at a house. And because it's so competitive, we just can't afford big commission splits and high monthly expenses anymore. Thomas Edison said, if there's a way to do something better, find it. We at Call It Closed have found that better way, and it's time for a revolution in the real estate industry. So I mentioned briefly Chad is our CEO. This is his wife, Aprilli, proven leaders with over 34 years combined real estate experience. They're a top producing husband and wife team in Southwest Florida and who are also licensed in Texas and have done real estate projects throughout the Southeast. Founders of several RE/MAX franchises that they sold off in 2015, and prior to that, they were the fastest growing RE/MAX franchisees in the world out of more than 3,200. Interesting note, I'm not sure why it's not in the slide, I guess because they're just humble people, but Aprilli is the record holder for the most homes sold in a year in the state of Florida. Also, the record holder for the most homes sold in a single month in Florida, and the most homes sold in a single day in Florida. So these guys really know what they're doing. They're industry leaders. They've sat at the round tables with the CEOs of major firms like RE/MAX and Keller Williams. They understand the greater challenges that are facing agents these days and have developed this company with the purpose of helping us be more successful. They truly embody a lead from the bottom perspective. The leadership team of Call It Closed believes wholeheartedly in the importance of giving our associates a solid foundation on which to build a better business for themselves. If we as a company form a strong root system, our associates can flourish. And so as we're growing, one of the things that's slowing down our growth, you could say, is that we're really looking for people who have a servant's heart and have a servant leadership perspective when they are going into a management role. And so as we're opening up new states all around the country, they're really spending a lot of time focusing on trying to find people who want to serve and want to help their agents flourish. And we just got Nevada open a few weeks back, so we're in 6 states now. We have 3 more that are just days or weeks away. We're just waiting for paperwork through the different governments that have been shut down by COVID. But we're continuing to grow. And a quick overview is that we pay 100% commission, so you get to keep more of your money. We will furnish you with the Call It Closed success system. We give online on-demand training. There's in-house transaction coordination available for those who want it. And there's a growth track from the national into the international. And so the Call It Closed success system is that we are a cloud-based brokerage that keeps our costs low. We give you KV Core, an agent IDX website with links straight to the MLS. App Files is far and away the very best transaction software system that is out there. You will love it if you haven't seen it yet. Real Marketing for print media, and then the CallItClosed.net back office management system. And what agent doesn't like to have leads? So the KV Core platform, if you're not aware, is the #1 lead generation and CRM system voted by real estate agents in the country for the last several years running. You can do virtually unlimited numbers of customized websites, personalized mobile app. There's an open house app. So when you're doing an open house, you have buyers walk in and they fill out this little form on your tablet or on your phone, and they are entered right into your CRM, so you can set them up on drip campaigns through email and text. App Files is your office in the cloud. Absolutely love App Files. All of your forms for North and South Carolina or whatever state you are in are located right here in App Files. I don't know what you guys face in other parts of the country, but here in the Charlotte region, we would have to go to an external website and download our forms and fill them out and then upload them into Dotloop or into SkySlope. Don't have to do that anymore. It's not cumbersome trying to merge different websites and trying to get them to talk together. This is completely seamless. It's all in one web page. It looks the exact same on your phone or tablet as it does on your desktop computer, and it offers total transaction management, all state forms fillable with e-sign capability, and web-based mobile access. It's super easy to use. I will say, when I was looking to open my own firm, we were looking into getting SkySlope. It was going to be $25 a person. About a year ago, I haven't checked in a while, but App Files was about $130 per person for use. And the reason for that is because it's just so much better. It's faster, it's easier to learn, and really just a fantastic system. Real Marketing does amazing print media for market reports, social media management, postcards, property brochures, flyers, open house cards, so you can have an open house little card. It's like a business card that's folded over here, pictures of the house with details, and then on the back it's like your business card. So people will remember, buyers come through, they see, go to 12 different open houses, they're going to remember you as the agent who was at that home that they really liked, and so they won't get mixed up. With Real Marketing, as a CIC agent, all of the setup fees are waived, and so you get to go right out of the gate. We give you even more tools to help you succeed. Of course, there's Facebook groups for collaboration and community. We use Basecamp, which is a great tool for asking questions, for sharing files, for uploading our training. So when I'm done recording this session, it will be uploaded to Basecamp for people to go back and review later. We give you warm leads at no upfront cost to you through OpCity and a new company called Prime Street, where they nurture these internet leads, and when these buyers are ready to buy, they'll be transferred to you. And so your phone will ring. Hello, this is Rita with Call It Closed. Hi Rita, I have buyer Bob who wants to see 123 Main Street. Are you available to show him the house? You say yes, you go show him the house, and then you just pay a referral fee at closing. We also use GoToMeeting, and clearly, as today, we use Zoom. So why, again, would you choose Call It Closed as your home for your brokerage? Well, in addition to giving you all the tools that you need to sell more houses and make more money now, we give you the ability to make more money later. And that's a hole that a lot of real estate companies don't provide. And me personally, having come out of the financial services industry where I was dealing with 401ks and IRAs as my day job, and seeing huge, not huge, but 10% of my salary was going into a retirement account while I was there. I knew I was preparing for the future while I was working. And the same is true here at Call It Closed, because we have a residual compensation plan. In the future, we're going to have stock and equity plans, and those will come along as we grow. It takes a lot of time to get approved to go through the SEC to do those things, but we're working on it. And the great thing is the residual income that you create for yourself here at Call It Closed is willable, sellable, and transferable. So it's your business, and it really truly has unlimited potential, and I'll show you why right here. Just like with Brent Young, who you heard from in that awesome class on how to reach out to for sale by owners and how to gain their trust and build relationally and then eventually list their homes, Brent called me. I made a post on LinkedIn that I had switched companies, and he called me to find out why. I didn't have to sell him. This was the greatest thing ever. He was naturally inquisitive, and then Brent has grown the company. And so as that happens, every time Brent and his wife Melissa and their team, when they sell houses, I am getting paid for sleeping in and drinking my coffee at 8 a.m. That was a joke. I have kids. That doesn't happen. So you get to build your own company within a company and get paid. And this is how this works, okay? So, for example, again, Brent came over. Every time Brent sells a house, if he is in my first tier, when he sells one house, I get $50 every month. Now that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it's surely better than nothing, and I can fill up my truck with gasoline for $50 these days. And then when Brent's wife Melissa signs up under him, when she sells a house, Brent gets 50 and I get 25. And so it goes down for 7 levels or 7 tiers of sponsorship. And I'll show you why this can be very powerful. Now this chart shows the potential monthly residual income to an associate who has met the qualifications for all 7 payment tiers. Now this is assuming, based on the national average of realtors, on average we sell 1 house per month. Now if I brought in 3 people, who brought in 3 people, who brought in 3 people, you go down 7 levels, the power of exponents shows that on my 7th level, in a perfect world, I would have 2,187 agents in my organization. Now, if they were each selling 1 a year in a perfect world, that could equate to $97,143 of residual income, not counting the homes that I'm selling, the commissions that I'm earning. That's in a month. How would that change your life? Now, many of you are going to say, that's impossible. I will never have that size of a company. That, I get it. Maybe you won't. But what if you only attained half of that? And I'll tell you why that's possible. It's very possible for every one of you on this today to reach this if you wanted to, and if you're not going to really work it, but it's very, very possible for you to get to this. I mean, that's potentially a mortgage payment or a really nice car payment right there. And the reason it's possible is because, guys, people are flooding into this company because they realize that Call It Closed really has found the better way. People are coming over from Keller Williams, from Remax, from EXP, and from different companies because they're seeing the tools that we provide to give you everything you need to be successful. And they're also realizing, hey, if nothing else, I'm getting to keep 100% of my income. That is huge. You've got to be wondering, what are the costs, right? What's the downside? That's the best part. It's only $99 a month. All of the technologies that are provided through Call It Closed would be close to $1,000 a month if you were to go out and get them on your own, or if you were going to start your own brokerage. There is a once a year technology fee of $255 that can usually come out of your first commission. It's not something that you have to pay up front. That just helps to cover the cost of the technology because the $99 a month certainly doesn't cover it all. And then every time you sell a house, it's just $299. And what we do is teach you how to have your clients pay that $299 so that you aren't doing it and you truly get to keep 100% of your income. Now, of course, there is a cost in onboarding new agents. It's significant in the amount of time that it takes to onboard you into all of our systems. And so there is that first month, $149, and that's your $99 plus a $50 setup fee. And then that's it. There are no other fees. There's no extra fee for errors and omissions insurance. There's no franchise fee. There are no junk fees. You're not going to pay a mentor fee. You're not going to pay a broker review fee. Any of those other things that you might have paid at another firm, you won't pay here. It's literally just those three, $99 a month, $255 once per year, and $299 every time you sell a house. That concludes our presentation for today. I would just like to welcome any questions that you guys have. All I need to get you started is your name and email address, and we can send out a contract to you. You can be onboarded in as soon as a day. It generally takes just a couple hours depending on the time of day that we get the paperwork back. And guys, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly or go to joincallitclosed.com. Scroll down and you'll be able to see this PowerPoint. grateful that you are here, and thank you so much for your attention. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you all very much. I'm going to stop the recording.